Good morning. I'm the Poetess, and you're listening to Real Talk. And joining me on the phone is Church of God in Christ pastor Michael Stevens. He's the senior pastor of University City Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's also the author of the controversial book, The Church's Official Response to the Epidemic of Downlow Living, Straight Up. Also with us is the very outspoken political and social commentator and a woman that has been chosen as one of Essence Magazine's Women Shaping the World. I'd like to welcome you both, Miss Jasmyne Cannick and Pastor Stevens.
Thank you for having me. We're glad to be here.
Thank you. First, Pastor Stevens, I would like to ask you to please give us a brief synopsis of what the book is about and what inspired you to write the church's official response to the epidemic of download living, Straight Up.
Well, Straight Up is really a book that was originally written as a classical refute to J.L. King's book on the down low. Oprah Winfrey took the book, made it very popular, sensationalized it, and during the reading and the research of his book, he used the African-American church as a backdrop, and if I can call it a punching bag for many of the abuses, many of the causes and scenes of the promiscuity. I wrote the book to basically bring a sense of awareness and a sense of understanding to this download epidemic. I've got a very somber burden and a grave concern for the African-American family, the unit that is by itself. We're already on the top of many charts when it comes to social, economical situations, whether it be unemployment, education, sickness, crime, you name it, and we're no one's priority. And we need help. We need explosion. So I wrote the book and did it with a sense of love and balance, but also telling the truth about this lifestyle and this epidemic.
Okay, Pastor Stevens, now what was it that you disagreed with J.L. King about in the book? Do you believe he's not telling the truth when it comes to the download lifestyle in the black church, or what is it that you felt the church was being used as a punching bag or being attacked?
First of all, what I disagree with most, first of all, there's an identity crisis even with J.L. King. When he wrote the book on the download, he called himself, I think at that time, he was considered still straight or straight with obviously the tendency to sleep with other men. Since the book, now he is considered bisexual, which pretty much everyone knows there's really no such thing as someone being bisexual. The problem that I had was, number one, only thing I did agree with was the fact you didn't hear from any authorities in the church. If majority of his writings and information, the background is the church, we're hearing from so many other segments of society, but let's face it, the black church is still, I believe, the cradle of our community, and we have not responded. And that bothered me. It bothered me that pastors and bishops and pretty much...
Maybe they agreed with them.
Well, I think they agree with the fact that this is a reality, and that's something that we all have to come to realize. But we do not agree with that this is something that can be condoned and accepted as normal behavior with men.
Okay, now, Jasmyne, would you like to chime in on this conversation?
Absolutely. First of all, almost everything he said I disagree with. The black church is the reason why the down low exists. And that's the crux of the issue. The issue is that because we stigmatize homosexuality and same-gender loving relationships in the African-American community, those of us in the community who do identify as lesbian, bisexual, gay, or transgender feel at times that we have to hide who we are. This is not a phenomenon. This is nothing new. This has been going on for years and years and years. But to single out and sort of point the finger of blame at down low men or down low sisters is absolutely wrong, because at the end of the day, folks who are having sex, usually that involves two people. Each party is supposed to be a responsible person. If you think your man is cheating on you, whether it's with a man or another woman, you need to tell him to wrap it up and use a condom, or don't open up your legs for him. And for us to sit up here and vilify a segment of our community and then also tie that into the HIV/AIDS epidemic is absolutely ludicrous and wrong, which is why we're in the situation that we're in now with the high numbers and statistics of African-American men and women who are living with HIV and AIDS.
Pastor Stevens, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, the first statement she made was the fact that the church is responsible for down low living. Church is not responsible. I don't think the church has helped as much as it could because of ignorance and obviously just avoiding the issue. But the response of download living is what it is. It's sin. It's missing the mark. And when you look at homosexuality, and by the way, I don't use the gay term. Gay means to be happy, feel free. But transgender, homo, thug, all of those different misnomers, it is what it is. It's homosexuality, male or female. And there's an agenda and acceptance and a normalcy that you want to bring to the community. And if the church concedes to that, well, why be accepted, or why even want to be a part of an organization that reads the same Bible that clearly says what it says? Now, the truth of the matter is, the church is not responsible for for download living. What's responsible is that people have to come to, number one, an acknowledgement, and then a repentance for those who want to be helped. There's a tremendous situation, and I wrote the book again because our African American sisters are getting the short end of the stick. They're beautiful, they're awesome. God created them the way they are, but men decide to take their private parts and deal with other men and ignore our sisters. And when they do have this download,
now what about the lesbian women who are on the download too? Because you seem to be fixated with African American men.
Yes,
and
you're correct about that.
The reason why I think you wrote the book is because you're trying to make money, which is part of the reason why J.L. King did his book. And I don't have a problem saying that. Second of all, the African American church is responsible for the download. Every time pastors like you get up in the pulpit and try to preach that fire and brimstone and condemn people to hell,
have you heard me preach in the pulpit, honey? Have you heard me preach in the pulpit?
Back
into
a space where they feel they cannot be all of who they are.
Okay, well,
as an African American lesbian, I did not grow up in a gay church. I did not grow up in a white church.
Well,
I grew up in a black church. Okay. And there are pastors like you and other pastors.
Listen, you guys. We can only have one of you talk at a time. So, Jasmine, please let Pastor Stevens respond to your comment.
Well, and again, first of all, I didn't have to write the book to make money, first of all. And I won't defend that, but the truth of the matter is I wrote the book to bring awareness and exposure to African-American women. I am fixated on the men's aspect because I am a man. I'm all man by the grace of God, but I'm concerned about the shortage of masculine African-American men who I would love to see become fathers and husbands to beautiful women. That's just the bottom line about it.
But
I don't need it for the money.
And hold on. Can I interject here, Pastor Stevens?
Yes, ma'am.
All men, not just homosexual men, but all men should have that responsibility.
Right, I agree.
It doesn't matter if they're gay or not.
I understand.
There's still a certain responsibility to our community from black men. And I don't believe that their sexual preference has a lot to do with it.
But when you asked me the question about why I wrote the book, again, there was already an epidemic within African-American men, anywhere from unemployment to sicknesses to imprisonment. But out of nowhere, now you have this other bout that we as a society have to deal with. And so many sisters are crying out, how do I know I can trust this man? He seems to be straight. He seems to be all man. But at the end of the day, too many of these sisters are going to the health department or going to give some blood and realizing, something's wrong.
Okay, wait, hold on. Now, do you think that, you're saying that was your message to bring an awareness. Don't you think J.L. King was kind of doing the same thing with his book?
Yeah, but his awareness side to the fact that we condemn, we accept, and you should absolutely understand that homosexuality is fine, whether you're in the closet or not. That's where I differ. Yes, it's a bad problem. Yes, it's an epidemic. But I don't condone it, nor do I say it should be accepted or okay. I will not leave the responsibility to someone saying, we'll just put a condom on him. No, we don't play Russian roulette with guns. I realize there are two loaded guns here, but it doesn't condone. We just make sure you get the lock on your gun when you play with it. That's ludicrous. And obviously there's been some hurt and past abuses that cause people to make the standards they make, particularly for pro-lesbian and pro-homosexuality.
Now, everything you said is what's ludicrous. Mm-hmm. You refuse to admit to the fact of the role that the black church plays in our community when it comes to homosexuality and what we do to other black people. You yourself said that there are other issues within the African American community that we need to be focused on.
Right.
Crime, incarceration, drugs, poverty. But instead you chose to focus your energies on writing a book that, quite frankly, as an African American woman, is doing a disservice to black women. Black women cannot look at men as they cannot continue to be in this position of I'm a victim. different. If you can open up your mouth to say hi, you can close your legs to say put on a condom first. And so as long as you keep encouraging black women to vilify down low men or gay men or bisexual men and make it seem as if they're the reason that HIV and AIDS is spreading throughout our community, like I said, you're doing a disservice to us. Because we need to be strong enough to open up our mouths and say what we need to say to our partners regardless